reward from our homicide and gun trafficking tip line, and we continue to receive numerous tips through the tip line, as well as our homicide clearance rates so far this year are 65.62%, clearing over 100. Actually, 105 homicides have been cleared so far this year, which is on pace to surpass 2021's 19-year highest level of homicides cleared. Carjackings are up 4.7% after being down most of the year. Still, 54% of our homicide offenders are juvenile offenders, teens, and preteens, and we've made 426 carjacking-related arrests so far this year. I want to go right to two cases I want to solicit the public's help. The first case is 12-year-old Nazira Moore. That's spelled N-Y-Z-I-E-R-E-Y-A. Nazira Moore. Moore is common spelling. On March 1st, Nazira was struck in the back of the head by gunfire in the 2300 block of West 72nd Street while riding in her family's car. Nazira's family was returning home from celebrating her birthday. She died days later, and our officers refuse to let this become the norm. We are soliciting the public's help in this case. The second case I want to highlight and solicit the public's help is an incident on April 13th where Christian Ruiz was shot to death while driving his 3 children to their grandmother's house. Ruiz crashed after being shot in the 2300 block of West Cermak Road. His children were not physically harmed but witnessed their father's murder. We are soliciting the public's help in solving both of these cases. If you have information on either of these cases, please call our tip line 833-408-0069. That's 833-408-0069. Tips leading to charges and convictions in gun trafficking and or homicide cases range from between $5,000 and $15,000 for homicides. And before I bring up Deputy Chief Muhammad to give an investigative update over the last 7 days, and then I'll come back and take your questions, I really want to, you know what, let me just save that for last. I'll go ahead and have Deputy Chief Muhammad come up now, and then I'll come back with some last comments, and then we'll take questions. Rob, you ready?
Morning. A couple of cases that detectives are currently working on this week. We have one incident at the Godfrey Hotel that happened a couple of nights ago. Detectives are working with the hotel, working with citizens that were at the hotel, and with witnesses that were at the hotel as well. We're continuing to receive cooperation from the victim of that incident, and we're definitely asking if someone that was at the hotel, walking by the hotel, has any information to please contact Area 3 Detective Division and give us that information. No tip is too small, and no tip is too large in this incident. But thankfully, the victim in that incident is okay and reunited with his family. So again, we're getting cooperation from that victim. However, we're still continuing to search for video from the area as well as video from the hotel. 2 other cases that we're actively working on, which is too soon to really go into, were the 2 females that were recovered in the water on the 16th of April, early in the morning, around 10 o'clock in the morning for one incident and 11:30 in the morning on the other incident. One victim has been identified by the family. The other victim remains a Jane Doe at this point. So if there's anyone who has information or is missing a relative or has not seen a relative, please contact Area 3 Detective Division for that information. Again, no tip is too small, no tip is too large in this case. And the last is, it's not within the last week, but it's still relevant to information that we're asking the public for, is approximately 2 weeks ago with the triple homicide of the elderly family on 115th and Green. Detectives are working diligently with that. We have a few leads that we're following. However, we can always use more information that's relative to that case. If a neighbor, if someone has information regarding that triple homicide of this elderly family, please contact Area 2 Detective Division with all related information. Thank you.
Before I make my final comments, just to follow up, the two bodies, two people found in the water, they don't appear to be related. Number one, I think we've said that before now, but I just want to reiterate, those two don't appear to be related at this point, but we are, again, soliciting the public's help and identified one of the persons found in the water deceased. And the hotel shooting appears at this point to be a targeted, not random, a targeted incident, not random. I'll make some final comments and then we'll take your questions. We had a parent write a letter to Chicago Police Department highlighting some of the work we do in trying to engage the community to build trust. And the parent's letter was about her sixth grader, her son, who's at the language academy, the Gaustel Language Academy. And her son participates in the Cops and Kids chess program and has benefited, according to the parent, from being involved. The parent explained how her son has become more confident and outgoing as a result of this mentorship from officers in the program. The parent wrote, and I quote directly, that the Cops and Kids programs have been like a breath of fresh air and that officers do not have to be perfect chess players to make a difference. This parent went on to thank us, the police department and our officers, for investing in her son and reminding them that cops are people just like them. So I'm glad to have shared the impact of our program and her son's experience. This is why we're committed to community policing, community engagement, building trust, and we'll keep investing in our young people and promoting these types of interactions to build strong community relationships. And with that, I'll take questions. Yes, you were first.
Can you tell us about this reward? Tell us the circumstances involved.
Not doing it, cut you off right now. This is anonymous. This is anonymous. And that's really important to encourage other people to come forward. So the best we can do is highlight people are calling, number one, and a person has received the award, and we're not going any further to make sure no one's concerned about our revealing their anonymity. It's really important. I know you probably built up a lot of follow-up on this, but no, we cannot go any further on this highlighted, quote-unquote, anonymous tip line.
Can you say how many?
Numerous. That's a lot. Thank you. Numerous is a lot. We're not going to go in details. We're going to be very protective of people who risk a lot to give us information to solve homicides. Just think what we're talking about. We're talking about and we all know the retaliatory nature of some of our homicides, as well as some of the incidents we've heard and seen where witnesses are threatened, seriously injured, et cetera, et cetera. So just not going any further on that. We're just going to say numerous and move on. Yes? So as you know, we've been not waiting for the warm weather to implement our strategy. It's been a very collaborative strategy that includes more than just law enforcement, obviously. All the things we talked about with the Community Safety Coordination Center, as well as some of the work we're doing in the community to build trust, is to include our deployment strategy. So if it's left upon police, we're likely going to fail. We need everyone involved in reducing crime. So we started this at the beginning of the year, anticipating, obviously, every year it gets warm and we have the same challenges. So we just wanted to highlight at this point, we do have some momentum. It's the largest decrease we've seen in homicides and shootings since the pandemic started, with the month-to-date and year-to-date numbers I talked about, over 20% in the month-to-date and over nearly 10% on the year-to-date reductions in homicides, as well as year-to-date 14% reduction in homicides. So the deployment strategy is very collaborative. It's not just policing. It's all of the social services in all of those areas that we're focusing on that data says drives violence year in, year out for generations in Chicago. So it's really collaborative, but it's already started, and we're scaling our resources up in collaboration with all of our partners in the social service space, to include law enforcement partners. So we're focused on a beat policing, beat integrity model as we come out of the crisis of 2020 and 2021. The community safety team was very purposeful, grown to deal with large-scale civil unrest, large-scale looting, large-scale criminality, kind of mob actions inside large, tens of thousands of crowds that would attack police. So that's, crisis model that we're, obviously unwinding at this point. We hadn't seen civil unrest, we hadn't seen looting, we hadn't seen large numbers of mob action that we saw most of 2020 and into 2021. So without going into numbers, we're unwinding that model because that was due to a crisis, and pivoting into what, in my opinion, a gold standard model of beat policing, beat integrity, keeping officers on the beat. We likely have the largest percentage of officers on beats right now than we ever had, but we need more. So we're asking all of our bureaus that are not in patrol to commit time on the beat, get from behind their desk, get from behind their, get out of their cars and spend time on the beat to include not only the community safety team unwinding into the beats, but TAC teams unwinding into to become beat officers, as well as while keeping a contingent. That's not, we're not undoing or getting rid of TAC or CST, but we're unwinding and prioritizing beat integrity as the model for our go forward.
Superintendent, I'd like to ask you about crime on the CTA. Last month, you said that CPD would send as many resources to CTA as was necessary
Yes.
to make the
Yeah.
system safe. And as we know, a lot of folks just don't feel like it's safe
Right.
to use CTA today. So my question is a two-parter. The first one is, can you provide an update on how those efforts are going? And the second one is, can you talk about how the partnership is going with the CTA's unarmed guards? And is that something that helps or hinders the work of CPD as you respond to crime on the system?
It helps, but let me start with your first question, kind of what's the update. So we committed, as we said, more resources from CPD to the CTA, significant number. I won't go into specific numbers, but we significantly scaled up our numbers on the CTA, but we did it in a way that's strategic. And what I mean by that is we scaled resources to the hot spots where data shows us crime is more prevalent on the CTA, to include riding those CTA trains where we see significant criminal activity. So it's a hotspot policing model. We don't want to be spread too thin where your point is well taken. People don't feel or see the difference in the scaled-up resources. So we're trying to use data, strategy, and the collaboration with the security increases that CTA is making is going to be significant. Of course, that's not fully fleshed out yet. So as soon as that gets to fully implemented, we'll have significantly more presence on the CTA in collaboration with CPD officers and the unarmed security that CTA is hiring.
Can you talk specifically about what those hotspots are, and if you won't discuss the exact numbers that you've been?
Yeah. We can get with you offline on the specific hotspots, but I think everyone in Chicago knows where they are, what the specific challenges are. But we'll certainly get with you offline and get you that information. Let me have one last question, because I don't think Tom finished up his follow-up. Did you have a follow-up?
I was curious who you were talking about. My understanding
So 55 of our 277 beats account for 50% of violence in Chicago, and it has for several years, according to our data. So that's one focus.